Hey everybody, how you doing? Yeah, I think I'm mad again. Welcome to PHLY Flyers post-game presented by Bet365. My name is Bill Matz, and joining me live in the Xfinity Mobile studio, it is Philly's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. Charlie, how? How do they keep doing this to us? I want to like this team. I like a lot of the individual players. I enjoyed the first half of the season very, very much. It just feels like ever since the Ducks game, they can't string anything together.
Yeah, the thing for me in this game, which is why it feels so painful, is the Flyers had two guys in Travis Konecny and Dan Vladar who absolutely deserve to be walking out of that arena with a win. They played great. Travis Konecny, second half of the game, he's basically playing on one foot because he blocks a shot at the end of the second period. And I hope it's nothing serious. I hope it's just a bad bruise. But he's hobbling. He scores a hat trick. Scores for the second time in 2 weeks. He scores every single goal the Flyers score. Dan Vladar makes two of the best saves you will see all year. He's the reason why Travis Konecny has the ability to tie that game, because the Flyers easily could have been down 5-1. Those two guys did not deserve this outcome. Now, everyone else on the team, oh yeah, they deserve this outcome. But I come out of this game like they lost. They've been losing a lot. It looks like the playoffs are falling further and further out of the realistic likelihood. Whatever. I feel bad for Konecny and Vladar because they did their jobs tonight, and a lot of other guys didn't.
No, 100%, Charlie. And listen, on Friday, you can check out an episode of The Shootout with Charlie and I talking about the team's leadership and that whole conversation that a lot of Flyers fans have been having since Rick Tockett's comments that maybe this team to go to the next level, the locker room's tight and that's cool. Maybe they need to challenge each other and not just be buddies all the time. The final sentence of my instant reactions here: if there's an issue with players not challenging each other enough or getting in each other's faces in the locker room and holding their teammates accountable, both TK and Vladar have more than enough reason to end that trend following tonight's efforts. Just like the Vegas game, TK and the goaltender give you the opportunity. Yeah. Unlike the Vegas game, they're unable to capitalize. And that brings us to tonight's game changer, driven by Elkin Chevrolet. Elkin Chevy, together, let's drive. And it easily could have been Dan Vladar, but I got to give it to the guy who scored all three Flyers goals, netted his third career hat trick. He's up to 20 goals on the season. It's Travis Konecny because, man, that's leading by example. That's, if you're going to be that kind of guy, you have to come through in the big spots. And he did everything he could tonight. Like we said, he did it just last week against Vegas as well. And that was to stop the 6-game losing streak. He scored their only 2 goals in the 2-1 win. Does it tonight, drags them back into the game. And Vladar should definitely get credit for that as well. But it's just disappointing as hell to me. And I feel bad for those guys. Like, they have a right to say, what the hell was everybody else doing, Charlie? Yeah. They absolutely turned a game in which they were chasing for most of it into a game where it's almost embarrassing they don't come away with at least the loser point. I mean, just that, 2 guys alone, you should, like, you know how we talk expected goals? Like, expected points from this game, if you get those saves from Vladar and a hat trick from TK, expected points, at least 1, and they come away with 0. But that doesn't take away from what TK did tonight.
No, it doesn't. He was fantastic. And look, I've criticized Travis Konecny during this stretch of games because there have been games where he's taken bad penalties. There have been games where he's had bad turnovers. He hasn't been perfect. He is not blameless in this skid. But what I will absolutely credit Travis Konecny with is that when he's had his good games, they've been incredible. Like, he was the biggest reason why they beat Vegas. He should have been the biggest reason why they at least got a point tonight. And that's with all respect to Vladar. Vladar was great too. But when you score every single one of your team's goals, yeah, you are the reason why the team should have gotten at least a point. When they tie that game, like, it should have been a foregone conclusion that at the very least they get a loser point. Like, that should have, that you get those performances out of those two guys. Everybody else on that bench needs to look up and down and just be like, we're getting this game to overtime, at least for those guys, because those guys are carrying us and they deserve it. We haven't been playing well, because the Flyers overall did not play well in this game. Like, they were sloppy. They had defensive breakdowns. They weren't consistent in the neutral zone. There was a lot of stuff that they did poorly, and a lot of players who had bad games. But you get those performances from those two guys, you need to at least get the game to overtime. And what, it took like a minute for there to be a defensive breakdown,
45 seconds maybe.
Yeah, like that. You couldn't even hold it for more than a couple minutes. It was wild.
It was like 1 or 2 shifts. It was truly disappointing. But who wasn't disappointing tonight? It was number 11. We have been critical of TK at points this season, but when a lot of the offense has gone quiet, we talked in pregame about Trevor Zegras' slump. TK has really picked it up offensively. Couple of multi-goal games. He has points in, I think, 5 of 6. Obviously, no one scored in the shutout, but he's been solid in terms of production lately. And tonight, no different. Up to 20 goals, leads the team now. Probably in points as well, because he came in one behind Zegras.
Yeah,
I don't think he picked up an assist or anything tonight. So it was the TK show. All right. So that makes him tonight's game changer. Okay, let's work backwards now, because I want to talk about the first period, but I also want to talk about that game-winning goal. I saw some people talking about it in the chat before we went live. You and I were talking about it before we went live, and just the idea of, like, it's a defensive breakdown. Who's to blame? Who cares? They gave up the goal. But what do you think on this play in terms of maybe Michkov, maybe Cates, who was to blame for wide open man getting that opportunity on Vladar to win the game?
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is actually a situation where I would love to be there to ask Rick Tocchet, because I'm truly not sure. Like,
I wonder who he'd blame.
Well, fair, but no, I mean, because I just don't know the intricacies of their responsibilities in the D zone, because, like, Michkov doesn't look good on the play because he doesn't recognize Monahan coming in, and obviously he's wide open. But, like, Cates as the center and as the lower man, you would think that he should have recognized that someone was creeping in. Like, Michkov as the winger, like, his job, generally speaking, is to cover the point. And there was still a guy up at the point. Like, Monahan comes in, but someone else replaces him on that left point. So it just comes down to, like, I don't know where the switch is supposed to happen. I don't know if the responsibility is, hey, in that situation, Michkov's got to track that guy. Or if Michkov is supposed to let him go and expect that the lower man is going to pick him up. I'm just not sure. Somebody messed up. Whether it was Cates or Michkov, somebody messed up, because Monahan's wide open. Like, no one's covering him. He's completely unmarked. And it's another example of these backdoor goals, these backdoor chances that they weren't giving up in November and December, but they're giving up nightly over this 3-week-long hellscape of a stretch. And that's been, in my mind, like, the biggest issue team-wise, is they did such a good job in the first part of the season of allowing the goalies to only worry about their side. To only worry about half the net. And now these, like Vladar makes those 2 amazing saves, and good for Vladar, but, like, someone's got to cover those guys. And finally it burns them on the game winner. But, like, it was a recurring problem throughout this game, and it's been a recurring problem throughout this month.
Yeah, again, we're not privy to the intricacies of whose responsibility is what. My guess would be Cates needs to recognize it sooner, but he's also tracking the puck.
Right.
So there probably needs to be some sort of communication, whether it's someone who sees it happening or Michkov himself yelling switch or, backdoor. There probably needs to be communication better on Michkov's part. And also we can't hear what they're saying on the ice. Yeah. Maybe there is. But I would say Cates is the low man, but there also needs to, like, he needs to be alerted to the fact if he does have his back turned on that play, like I believe he may have. So it's a failure all around. That's the game winner. It sucks it goes that way. It really sucks for Vladar. Plays. I thought he really found his game. We'll talk about him a little later in the second period. Not that I think any of the first 3 goals were his fault either. It was just, you give up 3, it's your first game back. Give up 1 on the first shot. Like, oh
Yeah.
no, this isn't great. But I did think he really found his game as this went along. But that's the game winner. I'm going to go back to the first period, Charlie, and really the first shift, the first 38 seconds of the game to be exact. They fall behind again, and it is the 34th time in 52 games. Over 65% of the time, they have allowed the first goal, and it's no longer like, for a while I was just making the joke, oh, well, they gave up the first one, now the game can begin. And they've won like 14 of these games where they've given up the first goal, thank God, or they'd never win because they give up the first goal every game. But it's just, now you're seeing... This is what, now you have to chase the game. Now you're going to have to get outside your structure and take more risks. Now you are in a mode of desperation, and this is for, 59 and a half minutes, you are chasing this game. TK ties it, but then they give it back, and, you are just digging yourself in such a hole here. These slow starts, and it's not just the scoring. 8.5 minutes. Matvei Michkov gets that breakaway. That is their first shot. And, like, really,
Jeez.
If they wanted to be like, yeah, that's not actually a shot, the way we're calculating them because of betting now, wasn't clean, that's their first shot. And TK scores on shot number 2, so it's all well and good. But 8.5 minutes it took to get a shot on goal. These slow starts are now killing them.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think I wouldn't totally agree that they're killing them because they are coming back. I mean, they do come back in this game. But what they are doing is they're just making life and games needlessly difficult. It doesn't have to be this hard if you just get off to better starts. And as you said, first 8 minutes of this game, the Flyers looked like the same team that didn't show up to play on Monday the whole game. And I guess that to me, and again, this is, I'm absolving Konecny and Vladar. Vladar was maybe a little rusty in the beginning, makes those incredible saves. Konecny scores a hat trick, 2 goals in the third period on 1 foot. Like, no, this criticism is not directed at you guys. You did your job. But it's unfathomable to me that after how poorly they played on Monday and how lifeless and how energyless they looked on Monday, that you come out 2 nights later and start out the game that poorly. It boggles my mind. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm sure they all talked about it. I'm sure they all, had conversations. The coaches are telling them to play with more energy, to get it, to do something, lay a hit early on, get the team in the game. And then they go out there and they're flat as like a soda can that's been left open for 3 straight days. Like, it's wild to me that they looked that bad to start the game. And look, they got better, but I don't think they ever looked great. Like, the couple guys look great, but the team as a whole, it was a better showing than the Monday game. But it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Like, they didn't play well. And to me, I'm stunned that they didn't respond better to that loss. And instead they kind of just replicated it, except this time 2 guys played really well rather than 0.
Yeah, and now they're 2-7-2 since that Ducks game. They've won 2 of their last 11. Like, that's going to kill you, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to take you out of this playoff race. And you look at the standings now, and all right, you have a regulation win tiebreaker over the Blue Jackets. I think the Flyers have 17 and Columbus has 16. But you're tied each at 57 points through 52 games. Like, man, you are digging yourself this hole. And I wanted to point out, like, all right, TK gets that goal to make it 1-1, so the slow start's behind you. It's a tied game. But not only are they digging themselves these holes, they're shortening the game for themselves. And I wanted to point out, they do end up actually scoring 3 tonight, but it's all from one guy. And late, They
Yeah.
they get the second and third in the third period thanks to, again, one single individual effort. And I wanted to point out, those first 8.5 minutes without a shot, you're up against a goalie who in 18 starts has allowed 2 or fewer goals 2 times. You look at his game log. Now, the last one, the start before tonight, he allowed 2 goals. I'm not counting that one, though, because he only played the first period. He gave up 2 on 7 shots, and they pulled him after the first. 18 games, 2 times he has held a team to 2 or fewer goals. Maybe get some freaking early pressure, and the game's over by the midway point of the second period because Merzlikins stinks. Instead, you gave them the cushion where, all right, we had one guy go nuts, and guess what? All he did was tie the game twice with his 3 goals. Like, it's just disappointing for a number of reasons, and we're going to get into a little bit. Again, we have a episode of The Shootout coming out on Friday where Charlie and I talk about the leadership issues, but when you see this team come out flat after getting shut out and playing very, very poorly just 2 days ago, maybe there do need to be some questions. We will talk about that a little bit on the other side, but we got to take our first break. All right, it's time for me to tell you about Xfinity and the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. What if I could offer you reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? Well, that's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together and that fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense. Imagine Wi-Fi that lets you stream the game even when the whole family's online and has all your devices working in perfect harmony. And imagine all that for 5 whole years. And the best part, there's no annual contract, no hidden fees, and Xfinity's best equipment is included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. Championships are won, records are broken, but your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable and the price should stay put. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only, restrictions apply. All right, it's time to talk about Elkin Chevrolet. Elkin Chevrolet is run by 3 brothers, real brothers, local guys, and yeah, big Flyers fans. And if you've been watching this season, you know what kind of hockey it's been. Nothing's easy, working hard for every inch of the ice, and that's how these guys run their dealership too, with hard work. And right now, Elkin Chevrolet has a big inventory of new Chevy trucks and SUVs, the stuff people around here actually drive, and they're priced to move. No games, no runaround. You come in, you get a straight answer, and you get a great price. Whether you're heading to the game, heading to work, or just trying to get home after a long day, they'll get you into the right ride at the right price. And this isn't a one and done place. These are the guys you go back to because they treat you right. Elkin Chevrolet, real brothers, real deals, and a whole lot of honkin' good service. Located on Route 73 South in Marlton, Elkin Chevrolet. Together, let's drive and let's go Flyers. All right, Chuck. I wanted to do this talking about Sean Couturier's production, because we do have that mini pod coming out, but we're going to get into a little bit of this because you brought up the idea. You are surprised that they did not respond to that bad effort with a better start to this game. Maybe it's just one of those things that, you blame previous regimes for stuff that's really nobody's fault because we've been here the whole time. But I feel like slow starts have been an issue since Dave Hackstall. So I really just can't freaking blame, the head coach here. I want to blame the guys on the ice. Is this a leadership issue? Is it just, that's hockey sometimes, like the other team scores first? This is the 34th time they've surrendered the first goal. No shots for 8.5 minutes against a team that's not very good. Is there blame to be had for this team's veteran leadership?
I mean, if you want to blame them, you can. I'm not a big things are bad, so that means the leaders are bad. I don't think the leaders are great because the team isn't great, but to me, it's more just a failure of execution rather than Sean Couturier isn't willing them to score more first goals. I just think I've always thought that concept is really dumb. Part of the problem is that Sean Couturier can't score goals. So that to me is the bigger issue. If we're going to point at leaders, you point at the fact that some of the leaders aren't playing very well, especially in terms of producing offense. Sean Couturier is not producing offense. He's still doing good things, in, I would say, the defensive and neutral zones. There's a reason why the Flyers are control and play with him on the ice, and it's not just fluky. Like, he's driving play. But it just seems like every time they get the puck past the blue line, the opposing blue line and into the offensive third of the ice, he's just a mess. Like, he had a good chance tonight, and look, Merzlikins does a good job getting over, but like at some point you got to finish on some of these shots, Sean. Like, you have to. It's gone on long enough. And I'm a Couturier defender. I don't think he's fully cooked, because if he was fully cooked, the Flyers would be getting crushed in terms of shot and chance differential with him on the ice. So he's still doing some things quite well, but the offensive side of his game is just gone. And like, do I think he's going to go the rest of the year without scoring a goal? Like, no, I'm sure he'll get a goal at some point, but you can't have droughts that are this long, especially when you're getting 17 minutes a night.
Yeah, and that's really the issue for me right now. Like I said, TK, you can say what you want. Maybe he's not the perfect player, but if you're going to be a lead by example guy, tonight is that example. There you go, right there. Sean Couturier now, 25 straight games without a goal, and in 19 of these 25, he had no points. Points aren't everything. We know his game is diminished, but I look at his line with Coots and Tippett, and this was coming into tonight, over 130 minutes together at 5-on-5. They are getting 57% of the shot attempts. It's over 61% of the unblocked shot attempts, which just makes me laugh. Like, oh, there's a lot of Tippett misses in there. 61-44, they're out shooting shots on goal. 65.87% of the expected goals. 62.18% of the scoring chances. Over 69% of the high danger chances. But they've been outscored on the ice together at 5-on-5, 9-6. And you look tonight, according to Natural Stat Trick, they play 8.5 minutes together at 5-on-5. Expected goals, it's 0.2 to 0.05, so they're just not giving anything up. Almost 80% of the expected goals tonight. 3-2 scoring chances, but they just can't convert. Specifically, Sean Couturier. It is going very poorly for him, and like, I don't know what else to do other than criticize what's going on right now, because, yes, it's never been about scoring with Coots. When he became a 30-goal, 70-ish point guy, that was great, but we kind of knew, is he that without Claude Giroux? I doubt it. But it's just gone, and Cap's going up, good defensively, can win you a face-off, all that stuff. I don't know how tenable this is if his offensive game is kaput.
Yeah, he needs to score. He needs to score more. And again, I believe he's doing other things well. I made this point a few weeks ago that, like, look, if you want to act like the numbers don't matter, that's fine. But like, then you can't use the numbers to promote the players you do like. Like, he is doing good things out there in the defensive and neutral zones. In the offensive zone, he's just turned into a complete zero. And like, it's hard for me to say, like, is he just cooked offensively? Maybe. Is he pressing? One of the theories around the team that I hear is that, like, he's just gassed and the schedule is really taking a lot out of him. And maybe that's true because he's had 2 back surgeries, but also, like, I don't know, man. Like, you got to dig deep. Like, there's only 4 more games before the Olympic break.
4 games left before the break.
Like, you can empty the tank if there's anything left in there. Bill, I don't know what to tell you. Like, he's got to score more. He's not scoring, and he's got to score more.
They're in such a tough spot because, hey man, if a winger was going through this, yeah man, throw another one in there. We got plenty. He has to get the ice time he's getting right now because they just, one, don't have any other centers, and the one potential other center, Trevor Zegras, that just ain't happening. So it's going to be Sean Couturier for a ton of ice time, and I just don't know how you can continue to do that if you're Rick Tocchet. Again, you look at the advanced stats, but it's hard for me to call an expected goal. And I know it's not like a 1-to-1, you get a scoring chance. That's not like a one expected goal. I realize it's a fractional thing, but like, it's hard for me to say a puck off of the stick of Sean Couturier is worth the same number of hypothetical goals as like half the other guys in the league, because it's just never going to go in. Like, we're at a point now where this is a real issue. And the advanced numbers, I'm not a total dinosaur. Look, I just quoted a whole bunch of them. It's not enough. Driving play, unless you're the 4C and your job is to literally get pucks in deep and kill time until the guys who go out there and actually can score do, just give them a little breather. Like, just hypothetical goals and time of possession isn't enough.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I guess the one thing I will say, not even really in Couturier's defense, but more just like my evaluation of this game. Like, I'm not saying that Couturier was good tonight, because he wasn't. Like, you need to score. You have some chances. Pop in a goal. Help out your team. But I do think that we're talking about Sean Couturier's bad play, not because he was actually one of the worst players on the ice, but because it's a culmination of the struggles he's had over the last 20 plus games. Like, and I really like this guy. I do. I like this guy a lot. So I don't take this to mean that I'm burying him, but like, to me, like, Trevor Zegras is way more at fault for this game than Sean Couturier is. Like, he played awful tonight. He has a turnover on the first goal. He has a turnover leading up to the empty net goal. Like, I would love it if they could give him a shot at center and then maybe sit Couturier for a game or move him down to 4C or whatever. But like, Zegras looks like he's a mess right now. Like, he's a mess right now on the wing. I'm not going to give him more responsibilities right now.
That is absolutely true. Like, Trevor Zegras, I know the first 41 games, 41 points. He was a revelation. He's really going through it right now. We talked pregame about his slump. Like, all right, man, everyone's going to go through slumps. That's fine. But you got to pull the nose up. And he seems to not be going in that direction, but you bring up a good point. It's not like, oh yeah, well, it's the Coots stuff is a culmination, and that brings us to our Happy Wawa Wednesday. That's right, it's time for the Wawa Big Deal. You got to take advantage of the Wawa Big Breakfast Deal. Any sizzly, any hot or iced coffee, and a hash brown for $5 from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. every morning at your local Wawa. It's not just a Coots issue, and it's really not even just the Zegras issue. It's a complete... We know they need more good players, but I guess what I want to do with this, the big deal to me, who on this team is hard to take off the puck? Tippett can be. He certainly can be. I thought we've been singing Tippett's praises a lot recently. Tonight was not one of those nights.
He wasn't hard to take off the puck when Zach Werenski threw him onto the ice en route to a goal at the end of the first period.
I did not think that was a penalty either. I thought
I did, but also like, don't lose the battle that badly.
You had a step, like Tippett can be tonight. I thought he played his worst game in like a month, maybe.
I agree.
Michkov supposed to be, but we've seen him fumble and bumble with the puck. Zegras has hands, but they were not on display. That was an nearly uncontested breakout that he just couldn't quite corral. I don't know. It's the little things, like the 4-on-4 turning into a Columbus power play early in the second. This one stood out to me, but it's really, I think, an example of this team's issues right now in terms of just being easy to take off the puck. Flyers have possession. Columbus is about to get the advantage. Flyers making their way through the neutral zone and then just fumble it away on an unchecked pass. And then all of a sudden they killed the penalty. So no harm, no foul. But like, you are trying to keep possession of the puck as it goes from 4-on-4 to a Columbus power play so that you can take it all the way back and then clear it all the way down and kill like 18 seconds. Instead, they somehow, uncontested, give it away in the neutral zone, and now Columbus has possession and it's 5-on-4. They give away pucks constantly on what should be routine breakouts, routine passes, a little bit of traffic, and almost nobody on this team can puck handle through it. It is very frustrating to watch them when they are in turnover mode like this tonight.
Oh, it totally is. And as I said, this was a bad performance by everybody. Like I'm even thinking back to the empty net goal. And like, look, they're
Yeah.
probably not winning this game, but there's a minute left in the game. You know, maybe you move the puck up ice, you get a stoppage, win a faceoff, score a goal off the faceoff, and suddenly you're talking about overtime. There's three guys in the corner. The Flyers have three guys in the corner. Columbus has one, and you still lose. You still lose that puck. Like I don't know. Like you have two more guys. Like go support your teammate. And the guy who's on the puck, I think it was York. It might have been Brink. Like you just got to win the battle, man. I mean, it goes back to those power plays in the I think it was the Buffalo game a couple weeks ago, where like first power play they lose 3 battles along the boards, they lead to 3 straight clears. And again, like this isn't. Like, is talent part of it? Sure, because everything in hockey requires talent, including winning battles along the boards while, walking on shoes with knives attached to them. Like it's leverage, it's balance, it's everything like that. But it's to me that's less about talent than it is about just want to. Like yeah, some guys are just going to be stronger than other guys. That's just the reality of hockey. That's the reality of life. But it just doesn't seem like, and again, I'm not saying that they're not trying overall. But it seems like in those situations, battles along the boards, like they're not putting in the necessary effort in those battles. I don't know if it's because they're trying to save energy. I don't know if it's because they're just not as into winning battles as they are into doing other things. But they need to do a lot better at it because they're losing way too many battles.
Before we go to break, I just want to hit on this, and we'll talk about Risto on the other side. But
yeah, Risto.
Rick Tocchet said in his post game tonight, according to Jackie Spiegel, that TK might not play tomorrow. This team has back-to-back games, and after scoring a hat trick with, they made a big deal about it on the broadcast. He was hobbled. He's out there on one leg basically for a lot of this game. There's a possibility the guy who's been their offense, he and Owen Tippett for the last few weeks, ain't going to be there, and that's going to be rough because, man, they got to get a win at some point. We will see, though, tomorrow pregame what we know about Travis Konecny. On the other side, we're going to talk about a defenseman who played 1 minute and 1 second in this game, but we got to take our second break right now. Let me tell you how my morning starts each and every day. It starts at my Wawa. Now, this is an ad read, but everybody watching by now has to know how much I love Wawa, and Wawa has given us yet another reason to love them. It's the $5 big breakfast deal. For just $5, you can get any sizzly breakfast sandwich, any size hot or iced coffee, and a hash brown every morning from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. That's right, a breakfast sizzly, a coffee, and a hash brown for just $5 from your local Wawa. That's value, that's convenience, and that's deliciousness all together in one deal. And while you're picking up your coffee, check out the brand new Caramel Chocolate Craze coffee flavors. You can try caramel, try chocolate, or mix them together for a sweet treat that will start your morning off right. The $5 big breakfast deals for a limited time and exclusions apply. See Wawa.com for details. No need to overthink breakfast. Just grab and go and get on with your day. You gotta have a Wawa, and let's go Flyers. All right, I got to tell you about my wife and I. We are saving up to go to Italy this April for a friend's big wedding. This is going to be a major expense, and to help us save, we're using Monarch. Managing your money doesn't have to be a struggle this year. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It's the go-to tool for a New Year's financial reset, reviewing spending over the holidays, setting fresh budgets, and getting ready for 2026. With automated weekly money recaps and tracking progress towards future financial goals, it's easier than ever to stay financially fit in the short and long term. And it's helped users save over $200 per month on average after joining. So this new year, achieve your financial goals for good. Monarch is the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use code PHLY at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's right, 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PHLY. And do not forget, let's go Flyers. Oh, I love a double Let's Go Flyers ad after a game like that. All right, let's talk about Rasmus Ristolainen, Charlie. Played 1 minute and 1 second tonight, took 2 shifts, including the very first one when the Flyers gave up a goal immediately, 38 seconds in. And there's 2 issues with Risto right now. One, he's never on the ice. 2 when he is. He's not very good. Like, I just watched the goal visualizer, which is actually really cool. That for our viewers, not Charlie, he would never see this, but the thing Petey shows us when he's breaking down a play in post game, it's on NHL.com and it just like dots with the numbers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I never actually. We didn't know where he got that, and it's like, oh, it's right on the NHL Gamecast. That's cool. But Risto's to start that play in the corner with Olivier and talk about not winning a battle. Well, couldn't break that up. And then as the play comes back around to his side, couldn't stop the pass from Olivier across ice, and they get that first goal 38 seconds in. He's not playing very well in the times he is on the ice. And also, it's very rare that he is. Risto has missed the first 31 games of this season. Then he played 13 games. Then he missed 6. Then he played 16:38 against the Islanders on Monday. Played 2 shifts tonight. And he leaves the bench. I tried to be optimistic on Twitter as they announced it on the broadcast. Like, oh, maybe they traded him and we just don't know yet. You know, maybe they pulled him out of the game. And I was like, well, they didn't do that with Farabee and Frost last year. I wonder, but, you know, this guy has such an injury history. You got to probably play it safe. But seems like he got hurt tonight. Do you think, and I know you don't know, because if you knew, like, you'd be a doctor and you'd get in trouble for telling us. Like, maybe my thought was he tried to come back a little early to ensure he's available for the Olympics, and, you know, nobody can actually say, oh, you know, he's missing games for his club team, but suddenly he's able to play for Finland. Listen, if you have a chance to play in the Olympics, especially if, like, your team is rapidly falling out of the playoffs, go for it. But that would obviously be a conversation if he was out from, you know, that Buffalo game through up until the break, and then suddenly he's out there for his Olympic team. Do you think that could be a possibility? Like, tried to come back a little soon, and now here we are again. No more Risto.
I don't know. I guess it's possible, but I don't think. Like, I don't think that's really impacting the Flyers' decision, and ultimately they're the ones who have to give him the go-ahead and have to put him back in the lineup. So, honestly, Bill, my guess is no. I don't know for sure. My guess is no. My explanation here is less about, oh, he came back too early from his injury. It's just that he's injury-prone. Like, he's an injury-prone player. It's just the reality of the situation. He wasn't when he was younger. Now he's a little bit older, and now the guy just can't stay healthy. Like I guess one of the positives of this injury is that it's lower body, so it doesn't appear to be a recurrence of the tricep issue that ended both his last 2 seasons. That said, an injury is an injury. Like, yeah, I guess it's good that it's not the same injury as before that he required 2 surgeries to fix, but still keeping him out. I mean, they had to go. And like, if I'm going to cut the Flyers any slack at all for this game, and this is very, very little, it's the fact that they did have to play with 5 defensemen for basically the entire game, and one of those 5 defensemen's name is Noah Juleson. So, like, that did put them in a tough spot. I will say that. That said, like, doesn't absolve the way everybody except for Vladar and Konecny played. But, like, you can't be having a defenseman go out with, like, it didn't seem like it was any big deal. And then suddenly he's just not on the bench, and then he misses the rest of the game. Like, look, I'm not going to, blame a guy for getting injured, but when a guy continuously gets injured, like, it has to be, that has to be priced in to the Rasmus Ristolainen experience, which is why I didn't yell at anybody when, like, I heard from reliable sources that, like, the injury is inflammation. He's not going to be out that long. Don't worry. And, like, I'm going to report it because it's news and it's important. But, like, I wasn't going to yell at anybody who thought the Flyers or Risto or whatever was full of crap, because they've seen this picture before. They've seen this movie before of, Risto's day to day. Then suddenly he's week to week. Then suddenly, he's Paulie in The Godfather. Like, you ain't going to see him no more. Like, that's basically what it's been for the last 2 seasons with Ristolainen. And, like, I get why people didn't trust that it wasn't that serious of an injury. And what? He comes back and they get 3 periods and 2 shifts out of him before he gets hurt again. Like,
yeah, then you get 18 minutes out of him. Like,
it's exhausting. I get it.
I think I did this with Kelly while you were on the trip, but in that time period, I think Anthony DeMarco put out an article that was like, yeah, the Flyers aren't shopping Risto, but they'll listen, but it's going to take, and I think he said I think he wrote that the Brandon Carlo trade
Yeah.
Last year was kind of the framework they would start with.
Yeah.
Sure. If it's going to be the Lawton thing where you got to rip them away from us. Now, the only reason a member of the front office tells a reporter that is to play and negotiate through the media. Smart, cool, whatever. If someone is willing to take him at $5.1 million, if they offer you the Shane Gostisbehere package, you take it. Because at least Gostisbehere physically existed. No matter what you thought of his game, he's usually out there. Rasmus Ristolainen at this point doesn't play. If someone is willing to take the risk on him at $5 million, if it is a 2028 seventh, you go, all right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't because if you're saying the Gostisbehere package, that means literally paying for
that
a
is
team
my
to take
exaggeration.
Yeah, like I wouldn't do that. I would not pay a team to take Ristolainen because they don't have a deep need for cap space in the near future. Now, maybe if they make a bunch of big moves this summer and they need the cap space, then sure, then you talk about that. But in the year now, you don't need to pay somebody to take them. But I'm with you. Like my criticism of the Flyers last season with how they handled the Ristolainen situation was they held to a very high asking price and they felt like they never got anywhere close to that asking price. And that's fair, I guess. You're holding to your price, and it worked out for them with Scott Lawton. But I don't know, what were the offers? Did somebody offer a second? Because if somebody offered a second, I would have taken that. Easily would have taken that, just because yeah, you get a decent enough asset. Second round picks can produce NHL players, and you open up a spot on the defense for the young guys who are coming up. I think Rasmus Ristolainen has turned himself into a perfectly fine defenseman. He's a number 4, number 5, defensively oriented. This year, it's hard to judge him on his play because he missed so much time. Yeah. He missed so much time, so it's okay, he's not playing great, but he's rusty. He's probably got to play himself back into rhythm. He's learning a new system, and that's going to take some time too. So, I'm not going to judge him too much for his play this year, but in the past few years before this year, he's a perfectly solid defenseman. He turned himself into a legitimately good defensive defenseman. That said, I'm not sure that he's so much better than Ty Murchison, than Hunter McDonald, that he is essential to all of this. Is it a downgrade? Yeah, I'm sure it's a downgrade. But is it a massive downgrade? I'm not convinced that it is.
I try to avoid cliches unless it's one that I believe I made up, like players who get hurt all the time get hurt all the time. But the idea, maybe it's a true talent downgrade, maybe. But the best ability is availability. If it's a downgrade, but it's only a downgrade for 30 games a year, and the other 50, it's yeah, man, we got Juleson in there. And I realize Juleson's in tonight because Andre's out, but for a lot of this season, Juleson was the Risto replacement.
Sure.
So,
that's true.
What kind of downgrade is that? if my choice is Noah Juleson because he plays more than Risto, or some guy from the AHL, McDonald, whoever, give me the guy from the Phantoms. Give me the prospect, because at least maybe he'll be something. All right, we have at least 15 super chats already. So on the other side, we are going to do Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars. I bet I can name 2 of them. Real interested to see who comes up with that third one.
Yeah, right.
And then we will start on your super chats, but now we got to take our final break. Everybody's got their favorite hard tea. It is the cool thing right now. But have you ever turned the can around to read what's inside? Well, most of the time you can't, because the others won't tell you what their tea is made of. And while others hide what's inside, Crooked Tea brags about what they've got, because Crooked Tea brews real USDA organic tea for real flavor with 0 sugar. There's no fake junk hiding behind the label. What you see is what you drink. So next time you're at the store, flip that can. And if you can't find the ingredients, just put it back on the shelf and then grab a Crooked Tea, 0 sugar, real tea, and fully transparent. Philly recognizes real. Don't drink that fake stuff. I just served a bunch of these at a holiday party I had. They were a huge hit. People love them. They come in a bunch of flavors. I'm partial to the raspberry. Check out what suits you best. And crack one open. You know what you're getting because it's all on the can. Why drink the fake stuff? Crooked Tea. The only thing better is a strip sack in the Super Bowl. Visit crookedtea.com to find a store near you. Go Birds and let's go Flyers. All right, it's time to tell you about Mars Men because we just had a conversation in the office about how those of us in our mid-30s are beginning to feel our age. I'm 37, and suddenly the diet I've maintained and the little bit of cardio I do are harder than ever. You start thinking, what's wrong with me? I'm not that old. How has my lifestyle turned on me? But the science behind it makes sense. Most men start losing testosterone around age 30, and even if your body is making testosterone, there's this protein called SHBG that basically handcuffs your testosterone. Mars Men is designed to help free locked up testosterone so your body can actually use it. No synthetics, no needles, just 8 natural, clinically dosed ingredients with a 90-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. For a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. It's a perfect way to kick off the new year strong. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts at checkout. After your purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. All right. Before we get to Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game, I got to tell you about what we're doing Sunday. We're going to be live at the Flyers Charities Carnival. It is this Sunday, February 1st. We are going to be doing our show live from 11 a.m. till 12:30. We're going to have a ton of awesome guests. Hilferty, Tockett, Jonesy, Simmer, Boosh, and JJ. Make sure you come on out, have a ton of fun with us. You can check out part of our show. You can participate in the festivities. And you can dunk me in the dunk tank. That's right. I make my return to the dunk tank. My scheduled time right now is 2:45 to 3 p.m. So come on out. Make a day of it. Tickets available at the Philadelphia Flyers website. All right, Chuck, let's get to it. It's time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Who is star number 3?
Bill, do I have to give a 3rd star? Am I contractually obligated to give a 3rd star?
Guess what? Bill's taking over. Brenna is our 3rd star of the game.
Okay. In all honesty, yeah, you know what? Let's just give it to Brenna. I was probably going to try to make a case for Jamie Drysdale, given the fact that he led the team in ice time. He was only on the ice for 1 goal against, had an assist. But you know what? No. We're giving it to Brenna, I guess, because this really was a 2-man show. It was a 2-man show for the Flyers. So, sure. I was just going to say, can I just not give a 3rd star? But that
there weren't. 3rd star, there weren't any.
There weren't any.
All right. Coming in at number 2, Charlie O'Connor. Who you got?
Yeah, number 2, Dan Vladar. And the reason why he's 2 rather than 1 is because I did think in the first half of this game he showed some rust. There was some rust in his game. He missed a week and a half, I think, 2 weeks,
like
almost 2 weeks.
6 games, about 2 weeks.
Almost 2 weeks. There was a little rust. You know, he's in the past done a better job of fighting through screens than he did on that goal off the face-off to start the second period. Like
he was screened, but we've seen him make that save.
Exactly. There was some rust there. So that's why he's number 2. But in the second half of this game, oh man. I mean, this wasn't just like a lack of rust. This was maybe the best version of Vladar that we've seen yet. And we've seen some real good versions of Vladar. Those 2 saves that he made, you know, the ones on one on Fantilli and then one on
Jenner.
And Jenner, both true highlight reel saves. Like you could put both of them on the end of season NHL highlight reel for best goalie saves, and no one would bat an eye. Those were both fantastic saves. He even almost gets over on the game winner. Like he's there. It's just they probably were like, well, I guess we have to hesitate a little bit because this guy's stopping everything just to make sure that we beat this dude. Vladar was great.
If they try to shovel that in, I think it was Monahan, instead of like waiting a second and then popping it over him, he gets the poke check.
Yep.
Like I really think he could have got there. My dog is 15 years old, Charlie. He, 1, lives with me. He's just used to a maniac screaming all the time. And 2, like, doesn't care and is partially deaf. When he got Boone Jenner, I went, he effing did it again. He was, I scared the hell out of him. That was
amazing.
I'll tell you, he played himself into the game, but from the end of the second period where he made like, I think 8 saves in the last 8 minutes to keep the game where it was. And then the 2 saves on Fantilli and Jenner. Awesome. Hell yeah. All right. Yeah. And this isn't the most dramatic, but who is tonight's first star?
Yeah, Travis Konecny's first star. He scores every single one of the Flyers' goals, scores a hat trick, and he does it in the third period on essentially 1 foot. As we mentioned, Tocchet said after the game, there's a chance Konecny might not even play tomorrow, which speaks to what he was going through. He put the team on his back on one leg. Like, somebody made this joke in my mentions, and I laughed because it's very appropriate. Like, he literally Greg Jennings did. Now, hopefully his foot isn't broken. Hopefully it's just bruised. But he basically Greg Jennings the thing. And Travis Konecny, like, you know what, dude? I'm sure he's bummed because the team lost, but like, you deserve to sleep soundly tonight. The rest of the team, Vladar accept it. No, they should have nightmares about this game. This one should pain them. Travis Konecny, you deserve a good night's sleep. This was not your fault. You are the clear-cut first star of this game.
I hope TK cursed somebody out in the locker room tonight. I really, truly do. All right, let's get to the super chats. We have a bunch of them, as we always do. We love our listeners and their sharing of their opinions with us. And I realized I can just maximize my screen and I can actually read these things. All right, David Shub leads us off. Have to single out Coots. This team looks rudderless. Leadership's been soft all year. Fans wanted a tank. No core. TK rules, though. I'm glad he's ours. Yeah, I get it. It's just like, even if they had done that thing that they've decided 2 years ago they're not doing, he'd still be here.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
yeah, they were never going to be able to trade him.
But you're still paying him like through 2032 a whole ton of money, and then $500,000 for however long you bought him out after that. So he would, if you're gonna single him out, like, all right, Sanheim, they did try to trade, then the no trade kicks in. TK, they extend. I guess they could have traded him instead. But if you're gonna single out like the core, Coots probably would still be here.
Yeah. And one point I will make about this, like, David says leadership's been soft all year, and then 3 sentences later says TK rules. Like, TK is part of the leadership. So, like, there are times where the leaders are stepping up and doing things. Now, Sean Couturier, at least in terms of his on-ice impact, hasn't done it for quite a while. But, like, there have been times where the leaders have stepped up. Travis Konecny did it literally tonight. It's just, maybe not consistently enough.
All right, let's hit this next one. It is RTS 7067. Is Coots headed for a buyout? How much would it cost against the cap? Yeah, I've done this. It's
not he would cost a lot.
It's 6.5. Like, say they do it this summer. He makes what, 7.75, I believe.
Yep.
6.5 this next season. The 3 after that, 6.7, and then 4 years of like over $500,000, like $570K or something like that. So you're looking at 8 years of a dead cap, with 4 of them being about maybe $1 million savings or less, 900K, 1.1, somewhere around there. It's very expensive. Maybe you need that roster spot. I think when we get there, I have a plan to make it work where you can keep him and it's not terrible, or you can buy him out and it's not terrible, but it involves doing some other stuff that I don't think Charlie would be that interested in. All right, next one here. It's not time to start talking about off-season stuff yet, so I'm not going to spring this idea on everybody, but I've tested it on some friends and they like it. They're so tired of me testing my material. Adam S. Is the NHL too physical for Zegras to be effective all season? Should they trade him while his value has been rehabilitated? No.
No, they shouldn't.
You can't trade the guy who's been your most dynamic player all year. Once this team is more complete, like, hopefully you have some guys who can create room for him out there, whether it's another power forward, a center. And also, we don't know. We don't know if this little slump right now is simply a slump that every player goes through. He's got 5 points in his last 11 games. It's not like it's been 30 games.
Yeah.
We don't know. And so I'm resistant to the idea, like, 11 games, he hasn't been great, so time to move on. Like, I'm willing to take a little step back there.
Yeah, and I think the Flyers will too. Now, if you want a silver lining about this slump for Zegras, it might lower his ask on a new contract, because he's not a point per game guy anymore. He's going through this dip. I think the Flyers want to keep Trevor Zegras. I think they want to keep him as a part of this thing. He's obviously been a great acquisition. He's just really fighting right now. He's fighting it. He's cheating a little bit for offense. He's making mistakes with the puck. He's not making the same, we talked about it a few weeks ago when he was rolling, like that every night he'd be making 2 or 3 passes where you just stand up out of your seat. Like, oh man, I not many players would even think to do that. And he was thinking to do that. You're not seeing as many of those anymore.
And like even tonight, I think he had that cross ice pass, I think on one of the power plays where maybe it was a little bit behind, like TK had to reach a little too far back for it. But really, Damon Severson just made a really good defensive play. Like, say he gets an assist there. All right, Flyers might win this game 4-3, and we're not like, okay, yeah, he's back. Cool. All right. Next one is Chili Koth. Talk obviously isn't laying into them when they play like the Isles game. He wants them to challenge each other. You're the coach, bud. Coach them.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the end, it falls on Tocchet. He's the head coach. He has to, and he said that, like, I have to find ways to get these guys more prepared for games. But there's only so many times you can say it until people are like, well, so you're not figuring out ways to get them prepared for games.
Professionals at this level, yes, the coach has a job, certainly. I've blamed too many coaches at this point. Like, I've just been through way too many guys. There's no way all of these coaches absolutely suck. Maybe Tortorella has a short shelf life. Maybe Alain Vigneault isn't as good as, like, maybe his record looks like. Whatever. Like, I've done it too much. And I'm not in love with Tocchet. I like some stuff. I don't like other stuff. The boys got to get each other going. That's what it comes down to. Good locker rooms motivate themselves. If you want to take the next step as a team, like Tocchet said, the leadership has to be there. All right. Next one, David again. Team should stay in subtraction mode. We have no star core yet. We can keep Coots and Tank as a punishment and let him teach the kids how to lose faceoffs. The faceoff numbers haven't been great lately, but that happens.
Didn't they lost like 9 straight to end this game? Like, rough. That's not Coots. That's the whole team.
No,
all the setters. But yeah, that was rough.
But he was well below 50 tonight, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Should they stay in subtraction mode? Like, I just don't know who there really is to subtract.
Yeah, like Risto, sure. If you can get someone to take that salary, awesome. After that, I like a lot of these players. They just need to be augmented with, like, really good ones, a 1D, a 1C, like the things we keep saying, and then everyone falls into the role they should have.
Yeah, like, I mean, if somebody is going to toss you a 5th round pick for Garnet Hathaway, like, sure, but the guy has 2 points this year. Like, I'm not sure how many teams are going to be interested in a 4th liner with a pretty high cap hit for a 4th liner who looks like he's fallen off a cliff this season, especially offensively. Like, Nick Delorier is on an expiring deal. Like, maybe you could trade him if a team wants to have a fighter in case they run into the Florida Panthers in the playoffs. Like, sure, do that. But I'm just not sure, like, what there really is to sell at this point. One guy who you could have sold was Christian Dvorak. They chose not to do that. So,
and, like, there is something to the idea of maybe they trade a Forster or whoever, Zegras at some point. I do want to hold on to some of the guys with value, if for no other reason than making hockey trades down the line.
Yeah.
You have to give something to get something. We know the certain things we need, but there's going to be mixing it up as this thing continues to move forward. All right. Next one here before we hit overtime is Justified EDC. I wish they had just been bad from the beginning of the season so that I didn't have to waste my time getting my hopes up. Vladar deserves better. I've seen too much bad hockey. I know, like, deep down, I probably know the people are like, we want them to tank. They need the draft pick. I get it. But, man, I just want to watch good games. I just want to watch good freaking games. And it's hard for me to be like, oh, I wish they'd been bad so I wouldn't get my hopes up. I want to get my hopes up. Like, I badly want to believe in something, even if it breaks my heart, because that's better than apathy. And with that, we got to trigger overtime. Head to allphly.com to keep watching. Would have been cool if the game went to OT.
Yeah, would have been nice.
Yeah. All right. From Adam S. Seems likely the Flyers are running a country club. I don't think I see that.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think that's a little bit of an oversight. But again, like, people are mad because the team's flailing and they're falling out of the playoff race. And yeah, I mean, It may look like that from the outside. I don't think that's actually the case, though, Adams.
No, I don't. I know there have been those allegations in the past. I don't know if I see that, but if this continues, they're going to have trouble beating them, you know? All right. Next one from K. Goodman, 1986. Love you guys, but it's time to learn the names. Verhoff, Chase Reed, Tynan Lawrence, Malhotra. This is a great thing for the Flyers long term. They also need to learn to win at some point. That's the, you've basically wasted Michkov's ELC now. He's got one more year on the ELC. What is it? Zegras, one more year of RFA, I believe. Maybe two. Might be two. But, you kind of got to get something out of these guys while they're cheap and, figure some things out so you're paying them for what you think they can do, not the learning process.
Yeah, I mean, I've begun my draft research. I will say that, I'm not in love with this draft class. Now, that might change as I do more video watching, but for me, I think the frustrating part about this draft class for me is that while they absolutely need help on defense, the bigger need for me is number one center. And I don't know if there is one in this draft. Tynan Lawrence to me doesn't look like a slam dunk number one center. Caleb Malhotra doesn't look to me like a number one center. I probably go defense in this draft if you end up picking in the top 10 or top 5 or whatever. But does that help? Sure, it gives you a potential 1D. Verhoff looks like he's going to be the truth. Chase Reed's very interesting. There's other defensemen. There's Smits, who's rising up draft boards. There are guys that are intriguing on defense, but I don't think they're going to solve the center issue long term in this draft, even if they were to tank. Gavin McKenna's a winger. Stenberg's a winger. The best prospects in this draft are wingers, and the Flyers already have all the wingers. That it's a frustrating draft from a fit standpoint for the Flyers, especially if you're looking at forwards.
Wing is tough, but I always say BPA because you know what those guys can be? Traded. All right. You got Jonathan Drouin for Sergachev. Won them a cup, yeah? All right. Next one here from David again. Maybe since the team is owned by a corporation, they're simply not allowed to do a real teardown rebuild with top 3 picks. Shareholders won't allow. Most teams in the league aren't. It doesn't have anything to do with who owns them. Most teams in the league aren't allowed because hockey is a gate-dependent sport. That's just plain and simple. They want people coming to games all season. They want gate revenue in February and March and April. They want the possibility, even if it's just 2 or 3 games of playoff revenue, because players don't get paid their salaries during the playoffs. It's basically all profit. Most teams won't allow it, regardless of who they're owned by.
Yeah, I mean, I'll push back on this, and this is one of those things where it's people are just going to say this over and over again because they're frustrated. My understanding of what happened when Dan Hilferty took over is that Dan Hilferty basically said, whatever you guys think is best, I'm hiring hockey people that I trust. And if Danny Briere would have said, I think we need to tank, I think they would have approved it. Danny Briere, Keith Jones, the guys at the top did not think that a tank was the right way to go. I think that Comcast would have approved a tank, but that's not the way that they wanted to build the team. So, you can disagree with them, but I don't think this is a Comcast issue. Now, I'm sure Comcast was more open to the idea that this could be done without tearing it down and being horrific for 5 straight years, because they're a business. They'd like to make some money, and they know that the building would have been half empty every night if they did that for 3-4 years. That said, I think if the front office people that they hired would have told them the only way out of this is to tank, I do not think Comcast would have rejected that after Hilferty took over. That's my read.
All right, next one here is David again. The only stats that matter are goals, assists, plus minus.
David, I got to disagree with you there.
Okay.
Plus minus is an awful stat.
Yeah, it doesn't
horrendous. Horrendous.
Those measure what did happen. They have nothing to do with what may happen. All right. Next one is Adam. Coots is a key argument for eye test over analytics. I mean, yeah, but the stats also show like he's not finishing. Like it's all like you can also see, all right, man, if they're doing well on one end of the ice and then it becomes a black hole, like that's all stats are, is a building block to figure something out. They are proof. They are evidence that builds something. Like that's all statistics are, is something that shows you something so you can draw a conclusion.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll straight up say it. Like, if you think that Sean Couturier is a terrible hockey player who like shouldn't even be in the league anymore, like you're wrong. He is still good at a decent amount of things. The offense has fallen off a cliff. Can he get it back? I don't know, but it's absolutely fallen off a cliff, and the stats show that. But like, if your disagreement with advanced stats is that, well, advanced stats don't back up my opinion that Sean Couturier is just utter garbage, like, well, the advanced stats are right. You're wrong, but stats will also.
These numbers are what actually happened. Like,
yeah, but yeah,
you have to watch the game to compile them.
Yeah, but like it's not as if the stats aren't also showing that he's not scoring goals and that his finishing has fallen off a cliff, because the stats measure that too, and they're accurately measuring that. He can't finish right now.
Yeah. All right, next one is David again. Zegras Stanley Cup was beating the Ducks, low bar. Maybe. I mean, that was a huge emotional game for everybody. Like, I'm not going to... I am not going to criticize a guy for caring about a game against a team that was in an open feud with him. Like, that's not something I'm going to criticize a guy for. It was a big emotional game for him, and the entire city agreed. Like, the Flyers were a big story that day, not just for us, but like in Philly. And that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, and also, like, I will go back to sort of how this thing fell off the rails. The game after the Anaheim game, they lose in overtime to Toronto. That game could have went either way. They played decently well. They just blew it. Then they play 2 games against the hottest team in the league at the time in the Tampa Bay Lightning. They lose both those games, and it just seemed like those 2 losses just threw this team off, and then they spiraled. Then Vladar got hurt. But like, I don't think this is a case of like, well, we beat Anaheim, so now we can pack it in. Like, I don't think that's actually what happened.
That was game 41. They played 40 games before that. He looked really good in a lot of them. All right. Next one is Julian Yeager. They need to be sellers at the deadline. This team's ceiling is just missing the playoffs at their best. Weren't we trying to get away from mediocrity? The idea of what they're doing, and I don't know if it's going to work or not, but this is the idea. Yes, they might be mediocre now, and then they build upon that. Like, it's just because a team that's primarily made up of guys 25 and younger is mediocre doesn't mean it will be when they're all in their prime, and then you add a Porter Tone and Tyson Forster comes back, and you make some key hockey trades that improve your areas of weakness. Like, it's not just about like bad and then good, because that rarely happens. Like Chicago in their rebuild, anomaly, very much, you know? All right.
And as I said about the sellers thing, like, yeah, I'm not opposed to it, but like, I don't know what you really have to sell. Like,
yeah, like
you can sell Garnet Hathaway, Noah Juleson, Nick Delorier, Ristolainen, if anybody will take him. But like, most of the guys on this team are of prime age, and if you're going to trade them, you probably want to trade them in a hockey trade. Like, I don't think there's another round of Morgan Frost, Joel Farabee deals on the horizon.
And like, yeah, your key piece, like your most valuable potential trade piece, he's missing time for the 3rd time this season. All right. Next one here is Chili Coth. Sloppy. This team is slop central. Like I said with the hard on the puck thing. The unforced turnovers, the failed clear, it's killer. It's hard to watch when they're in turnover mode like they are. All right. Next one here is David again. Dan Hilferty never used the word excellence again. I mean, you know, everyone's going to say that stuff. I always think back. It's funny now to think about how hard Jeffrey Lurie got roasted for the gold standard thing.
Yeah,
and then
that's true.
Fast forward 20 years, and it was true. Like, you're building something. It's not just about one game or one season. Yeah. All right. Next one here is David again. Fun fact: Adam S. nickname is Booger. Or Boog for short. That is very funny. All right. Next one is David again. TK is
I'm sorry.
TK is a +9 with double the points of -6 Coots. All right. Yeah. TK is a much better player. We all know
he's significantly better at this stage.
TK is a prime age top 6 winger. Sean Couturier is a bottom 6 winger at best, or bottom 6 center at best. Like, everyone knows this. All right, next one is Adam. Is anyone's job in jeopardy from all the Reach draft picks looking suspect?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. And I do think, because I commented on this on social media.
Yeah, that was actually a really good tweet thread.
I basically made the point that, like, I think one of the root causes for all of the frustration right now in terms of online Flyers fans is that they look at the prospect pool and they don't see a lot past Martone. So it's harder to be excited about the future when very few players in the future, or very few of the prospects in the part of the future, are looking like they're blowing the doors off. What I will say, though, is, like, development is not necessarily linear. Guys can have real good seasons, and then guys can have real bad seasons and then bounce back. Or guys can look like they're on a great trajectory prospect-wise and then have a random awful season out of nowhere when they're 21, and then suddenly they're bad prospects. So I'm not ready to, like, I acknowledge, because it's true, they had very few prospects this season who are having that, oh my God, this is super exciting season. It's basically Martone, Barkey, who still pretty much qualifies as a prospect.
But he's here.
But he's here. And then Berglund had the real good World Juniors. Aside from that, they really haven't had too many guys that have popped. But, like, just because Jack Nesbitt hasn't popped yet doesn't mean he won't at some point down the road when he, like, learns how to skate.
The mood is definitely different if Luchenko and Nesbitt are filling the net.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
My mood would be better if that was happening. I definitely feel better about tonight's game and all these games that piss me off, because at least we'd have, like, well, we got that coming. But as of now, yeah.
I just think what I'm saying is, like, you know, is anyone's job in jeopardy from all the Reach picks? Like, not yet, because very few of those picks have actually proven what they're going to be.
Yeah.
And, you know, 3-4 years down the road, if Jack Nesbitt still isn't scoring and Jet Luchenko's Ryan Poehling 2.0, like, yeah, then Brent Flair and some scouts might get the axe. But honestly, if that's the case, I think a lot more people than Brent Flair are getting the axe.
Luchenko, man, we could use a Ryan Poehling right now. Do we have one more, or was that the last one? That was the last one. I'm not reading anymore. That is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers postgame, presented by Bet365. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. We'll be back here tomorrow on the PHLY Sports YouTube page with pre- and postgame. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers, and follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. I am Bill. That is Charlie. Thanks as always to Brenna. Be excellent to each other.